It's now time to bring you our feature on the show today, as the Russian Federation has begun deliberations with the Nigerian Atomic Energy Commission to discuss their collaboration in the area of peaceful use of nuclear energy. Ahead of its plan to accommodate nuclear in Nigeria's national grid, the Nigerian Atomic Energy Commission and the Russian Federation have commenced deliberations with the Federal Ministry of Power. Now, the duo also begun discussions with the Federal Ministry of Finance, Budget and National Planning on just how to accommodate the feasibility study of the plan come next year's national budget of the Commission. The federal government had earlier inaugurated the reconstituted Russian-Nigerian Joint Coordination Committee of the National Atomic Energy Commission, that's NAEC, in an effort to resuscitate the relationship between the two countries in cooperation for the peaceful use of nuclear energy. The Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Boss Mustafa, represented by the Permanent Secretary, Ecological Fund Office, Dr. Habiba Lawal, inaugurated the members in Abuja. Now, in order to sustain this feat, there is the need to have continuous reorientation of the public on the general misconception of nuclear energy and its application in different human endeavors. Now, the terms of reference of the committee include to provide a broad framework for cooperation with the Russian Federation in the peaceful uses of atomic energy, to participate in the design, construction, operation and decommissioning of both NPP and NPRR, and also to ensure dynamic monitoring and implementation of all agreements with the Russian Federation to ensure that Nigeria is not subjected to any unfair trade agreement during the process of negotiation with Rosatom. Joining me now virtually to discuss this and much more, I have Philip Jackpal, the Director of Programs at Corporate Accountability and Public Participation Africa. Good to have you on the Breakfast Show today, this morning, Philip.
Good morning. It's a pleasure being here.
Now, for some analysts, nuclear energy is the future of energy, but the bigger concern, overwhelming sentiment, is that are African countries really ready for nuclear energy, and to what extent do the risks outweigh the benefits and vice versa? And how do we make sense of the safety of this energy source?
Okay, I think the starting point is that environmentalists globally tell you, and of course we agree, that the future is renewable energy, clean, safe, affordable. And for all these things we have mentioned, nuclear power is not an option. We say it's not an option because there are incidents that could happen, and truly we are not prepared. Things have happened all over the world that supposed developed countries could not handle well. We had the Ukraine incident, Chernobyl in 1986. We had Fukushima recently. These are countries that are little developed, and they could not even, foretell that this was going to happen, and then it happened. But I think the bigger issue is that we are all united in the belief that with about 4,000 megawatts power generation, Nigeria is nowhere it is supposed to be. We are not the people who generate adequate data that you can work with, but it is believed that Nigeria needs about 150,000 megawatts to be able to service domestic and industrial users. And with 4,000 megawatts generation, we are nowhere. South Africa, with a population of, for instance, about 60 million people, they are generating nearly 60,000 megawatts. Ghana, which has a population of about 30 million people, is generating about 4,000 megawatts. And Nigeria, a country of about 200 million people, is still generating 4,000 megawatts, which can barely service, our population. But then, even in the discussion around nuclear power, the government has not consulted with Nigerians. Whatever the Nigerian Atomic Energy Commission has been doing, they have been doing it solo as far as we are concerned. And we wonder why this discussion is going on now, because just last year, 2020, around February, and a year before, some of the communities where these nuclear power plants are supposed to be sited have said they don't want it. One of the plants is supposed to be sited in E2, Akwa Ibom State. The State Assembly met last year and said, no, they don't want it in that state because they don't believe, just like we have said here, they don't believe that Nigeria can manage a nuclear crisis that might arise. You don't predict it. And then there's the issue also, which is very, very important, that we have not started asking some questions about the company that the Nigerian government is dealing with.
Yes, Philip, I'd like to button here at this point, talking about questions being raised. What do you know about the company, Rosatom? And like you've also highlighted, issues around where the facility will be sited, where will the waste be discharged, where will the money come from to construct some of these facilities. These are some eyebrows that have been raised as to Rosatom being a questionable company. Do you share this sentiment, and tell me about your visit to their Finland office and why this should shape the conversation of considering this move?
Thank you very much for bringing this up, because it is very, very important. Well, in 2016 or 17, I was in Finland, where environmentalists are also raising concerns because Rosatom is also building a nuclear reactor in that country. And the question has resolved around how are you going to manage the waste from this facility? And those questions are not answered, because as long as, and that's why deliberately this facility is being cited where you have water, Itu in Akwa Ibom State, and I think Geregu in Kogi State. So this facility will generate some waste. We are not asking the right question, and what is the right question? How are we going to manage the waste that will come from this facility? Added to that is that where will the money come from? The fact that the government is talking about build, operate, transfer is indicative of the fact that the money is not available. So if we are being told that, for instance, we are going to have, because this facility will only add 4,800 megawatts for the much we are going to spend, it's going to generate only about 4,800 megawatts by the year 2035. So it's actually even a long-term thing. It's not something that we are going to benefit from in the short run. So these are the kind of questions that the Nigerian government is not asking. And we expect the government to ask this kind of questions, because the company Rosatom has a lot of questionable issues around it, issues of waste management, issues of safety hazards in terms of managing nuclear facilities. Now, if you are going to also cite a nuclear facility in the Niger Delta, which is already a place that is volatile, are we not going to have incidences where some groups will one day rise up and say that, oh, because you have not given them what they want, we are going to target those facilities? Even terrorists will end up targeting those facilities.
Okay.
And if that is going to happen, naturally the safeguard that will be there is that maybe the Nigerian government will go into a pact with the Russian government to be able to police those places. In other words, we are also going to create a Russian federation within where you have those facilities.
We'll just
so these are the kind of things
conversation at this point now for the lack of time, but we would keep our fingers crossed as to the deliberations that's going on between the Russian and Nigerian parties, and also looking at the fact that we are also expecting that the Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning says that we'll see some level of accommodation and feasibility studies of the plan in next year's budget for the Commission. So we'll also analyze this further as these deliberations go through, and hopefully these issues you've raised would have some light shed. Thank you very much for your time on the Breakfast Show this morning. Philip Jakpo, it's been a pleasure speaking with you.
Thank you.